let's examine a few more minor penny varieties that you could look for. The 1939 doubled obverse Lincoln penny is a surprisingly difficult coin to locate, and the premium for the coin is not really commensurate with the scarcity of the coin in the market. I suspect that not too many people are actually looking for the variety, which is a true shame. Doubling is seen towards the northeast on the 1 and the first 9 of the date, as well as on the Bertie or B-E-R-T section of the word liberty. This effect of the doubling is particularly noticeable on the T, where it is displayed almost due south of the intended position. Graded by PCGS as a superb MS67 red, this coin was sold at auction for $552. Here is an early proof coin variety. What we are looking at now is the 1951 proof doubled obverse penny. Once again, a somewhat underrated variety if you ask me. I suspect that it is due to it being on the proof strike of this year and not the regular circulation strike. At any rate, the doubling here is best seen on the letters of "In God We Trust," especially the latter half of the motto, where the letters of trust are doubled towards the left very clearly. At auction, this PCGS graded example of the coin at a grade of proof 66 red cameo was sold for $576. This is the 1988 wide AM penny. Now, not to get too technical about it, but I think this is actually somewhat of a misleading name for the coin, and it should rather be called the serifed or flared FG variety instead, as that is definitely more accurate or descriptive of the reverse design variety that was used on this coin. Now, you can see the designer's initials of FG found towards the right of the memorial building is the best way to distinguish this type. On a normal coin from 1988, the G of FG is plain and has no serif or a horizontal bar in the center of the letter. This variety coin, however, used reverse design variety number 6, which does have a serif on that letter. This coin is graded as MS66 red, and at auction it raised a total of $576. 1911 has multiple repunched mintmark varieties to look for, including coins from Denver and San Francisco. This coin is from the Denver Mint and is the FS502 repunched mintmark type, to be precise. The remnants of the initial punching of the D mintmark can still be detected just below the primary D. In addition to that, the top serif of the initial punching is also present in this same orientation, relative to its final placement, of course. At auction, a PCGS graded MS63 brown example of this variety was sold for $586. Now this is a coin that you could very realistically find while searching coin rolls, or even, if you're very lucky, in pocket change. It is the 1980 doubled obverse memorial cent, which also happens to be a very nice case of pivoted hub doubling, expressed best as doubling on the initial letters of liberty towards the southeast. The L, I, and B are the best examples of this. The strongest doubling, though, is seen on the date, where strong separation lines are seen on all of the numbers, though it's worth pointing out that the 8 is especially notable in this regard. Graded by PCGS as MS65 red, this lovely coin was sold at auction for the sum of $600. A repunched mintmark variety from 1950 is next on our journey through the Lincoln penny varieties. Hailing from the San Francisco Mint, this is a rather appealing S over S mintmark variety that should make a great find for any collector or coin searcher. The initial S can clearly be seen directly towards the north of the final placement of the mintmark, with the remnant of the initial serif and the rounding of the S towards towards the left, still detectable towards the top. This coin was graded by PCGS as MS67 red, and at auction it sold for $600. This 1942 doubled obverse penny is not the strongest variety you'll ever come across. It is further complicated by the fact that you really need an early die state example to see the full doubling on the letters of liberty, which this coin is not. That really only leaves the date, where here you can see the doubling on the number 1, displaying in the form of a nice ghost image of sorts towards the northeast of the primary impression. The same can also be said, at least to a certain degree, for the number 9. This coin was graded as XF40 by PCGS, and at auction it was sold for $600. 1934 is actually a pretty good year for varieties, especially in the Lincoln penny series, with even a number of major repunched mintmark varieties from the Denver Mint to look for. This is the FS503 type, where it is actually a quadruple punched mintmark. 4 impressions, although 2 of those are so faint that on most coins it makes it basically impossible to spot. So focus instead on the clearly struck in secondary mintmark that is directly towards the south of the D. This example was graded by PCGS as MS64 red brown and sold at auction for $601. You know, ever since I was a kid who just got started collecting, I've been hearing people say, oh, coin collecting, it's not what it used to be, it's going the way of the dodo, blah, blah, blah. But that is not what I see every day. To me, this hobby, it's a living, breathing thing that keeps changing, yes, but it's not going anywhere. So quit your yammering, Karen. This 1947 doubled obverse penny variety to me is proof of that. It was only discovered in the 1990s, 50 years after its initial release. And that's not a unique story by any means. Doubling here can be seen very clearly on the date, mostly towards the north, but the better doubling is evident on the letters of "In God We Trust," especially the letters of trust, where the doubling is seen displaying towards the right on every letter. Graded by PCGS as MS66 red, this coin sold at auction for $660. Most varieties that you encounter will be a mintmark variety of some description, or a coin that was inadvertently doubled during the hubbing process. But sometimes you may come across a coin like this that was tripled, or that displays tripling on the design. Now, admittedly, it's not the strongest case for such a variety, but the 1970s triple obverse proof 1-cent coin does have its moments, with tripling displaying in the form of separation lines. This can be seen on the date, especially in the 7 and the 0. The first few letters of Liberty is another good example to spot this effect, but I like to check the letters of "In God We Trust," especially the G of God, that will be tripled very clearly. This coin was graded by PCGS as proof 67 red deep cameo and was sold at auction for $660. When I say the 1955 double die obverse Lincoln penny, it would only be natural to assume that I'm talking about this coin. But there is also a lesser known double obverse variety for this issue that you can keep an eye out for. On this, the FS102 variety, the doubling here is concentrated more on the letters of "In God We Trust," with doubling displaying towards the northeast of the letters in question. PCGS gave this coin a grade of MS65 red, and at auction it was sold for the sum of $660. Then we have a proof coin variety from 1963 that is one of the strongest doubled reverse proof varieties you are likely to come across anytime soon. And this is a year before the production of proof coins were temporarily suspended due to the national coinage shortage. The doubling can be seen on most of the letters, but the N in cent is a particularly nice example that displays the doubling clearly. But the last two letters of America, the C and last A, is also a good place to spot the doubling if you're unsure. This coin was graded by PCGS as proof 68 red, and at auction it attained a closing price of $720. Subscribe to WNN and activate notifications with the bell icon to know when new videos are released. For the World Numismatic News, I am Numisman saying thank you for watching. Keep collecting and have a fantastic day.